For every twist villain who's loved by a whole generation of moviegoers, there's someone who became hated by just as many people. A twist so lame, so predictable, or so poorly motivated that it makes you groan instead of gasp. So today, we're going through the most loved versus the most hated twist villains.
Fair? I'll tell you what's not fair.
If only there was someone out there who loved you.
Trying to think. We're all just trash, waiting to be thrown away.
Let's kick things off with a villain so smooth, so charismatic, and so utterly vile that he instantly became a legend. I am, of course, talking about the one, the only, Ernesto de la Cruz from Pixar's masterpiece, Coco. In the world of the living, he's Mexico's most beloved musician, a movie star, a symbol of national pride. His motto, "Seize your moment," is the very inspiration that drives our hero, Miguel, to follow his musical dreams. In the land of the dead, he's even bigger, living in a massive mansion, throwing the most exclusive parties, and putting on spectacular shows. Miguel spends the first half of the movie literally journeying through the afterlife just to meet his hero, the man he believes is his great-great-grandfather. And when he finally does, it's everything he dreamed of. Ernesto saves him from falling into a pool. He's charming, he's supportive, he even agrees to give Miguel his blessing to return home. We, the audience, are right there with Miguel thinking, this guy is awesome. We're ready for the heartwarming family reunion. And then the truth comes out, and oh my goodness, what a truth it is. It starts when Hector, Miguel's scrappy skeleton guide, confronts Ernesto. He claims Ernesto stole his songs. Ernesto plays it cool, saying he only sings them to keep his old friend's memory alive. It seems plausible. But then Miguel connects a line Ernesto said, "I would move heaven and earth for you," to a line from one of Ernesto's old movies. In the film, the villain says that exact phrase right before he poisons the hero. Suddenly, Hector's memory clicks into place. The toast with his best friend before he was supposed to catch a train home to his family. The sudden, agonizing pain. The realization that he didn't die of food poisoning. He was murdered. My jaw was on the floor. Ernesto's a fraud, a killer, and a complete sociopath. And the moment his charming facade drops, he becomes one of the most terrifying villains Disney has ever created. He has Miguel, a child who idolized him mere minutes ago, thrown into a cenote pit to be forgotten forever. His only concern is protecting his fame, his moment, and his downfall is just chef's kiss perfect. Having his crimes broadcast to the entire land of the dead, being booed off stage by his adoring fans, and then being crushed by a giant bell, the exact same way he died the first time, is poetic justice of the highest order. He's a villain you love to hate. Okay, let's talk about someone who didn't quite stick the landing. Assistant Mayor Dawn Bellwether from Zootopia. Now, don't get me wrong, Zootopia is a fantastic movie with a really important message, but its twist villain? When we first meet Bellwether, she's the epitome of sympathy. She's a tiny, fluffy sheep in a world run by big, intimidating predators. Her boss, Mayor Lionheart, is constantly dismissing her, using her for photo ops, and basically treating her like a glorified secretary. She's overworked, underappreciated, and just plain put upon. When she helps Judy Hopps, our hero, she seems like a genuine ally, a fellow little guy trying to make it in a big city. You're rooting for her. The twist, of course, is that this meek little sheep is actually the criminal mastermind behind the whole conspiracy. She's been using a drug made from night howler flowers to make predators go savage, hoping to stir up fear and seize power for the prey population with herself at the top. On paper, it's a classic wolf in sheep's clothing scenario. The quiet one was the evil one all along. So why does it fall so flat for so many people? For me, it comes down to two things: predictability and motivation. Let's be real, a lot of us saw this one coming a mile away. In a mystery story, when there's an overly sweet, helpful character who seems too good to be true, they're often the villain. It's a well-worn trope, but the bigger issue is her motivation and the execution of her plan. Her entire scheme is based on a deep-seated hatred for predators born from years of being mistreated. That's a powerful and relevant motivation, but the movie reduces it to a fairly generic power grab. Her final monologue, where she gloats to Judy and Nick, feels like something out of a Saturday morning cartoon. Fear always works, and I'll dart every predator in Zootopia to keep it that way. It lacks the chilling personal evil of an Ernesto or a Lotso. It just feels generic. She had the potential to be an incredible, thought-provoking antagonist, but in the end, she was just a bit of a bad guy. Alright, let's talk about the most creative, most unsettling, and most brilliantly conceived twist villains of all time. The ruler of Sugar Rush, the sovereign of sugar himself, King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph. When we first enter the candy-coated world of Sugar Rush, King Candy is its heart and soul. He's this goofy, flamboyant, slightly bumbling monarch with a lisp and a penchant for the color salmon. common. He seems like a classic comedic relief character, reminiscent of someone like the Mad Hatter or Ed Wynn. He's over the top and silly, but his main goal seems to be protecting his game and its citizens. His biggest concern is Vanellope, a glitch, who he forbids from racing because, as he explains to Ralph, her glitching could make players think the game is broken, which would get it unplugged, killing everyone inside. It's harsh, but from a certain point of view, it makes him seem like a responsible leader, making a tough choice for the greater good. But as the movie goes on, little cracks start to show in his candy-coated exterior. He gets a little too angry, a little too desperate to keep Vanellope out of the race. And then, during the final race, as he's trying to ram Vanellope off the track, she glitches through him, and for a split second, his code flickers. His goofy king persona vanishes, replaced by a ghoulish figure with greyish skin and soulless yellow eyes. And the audience, along with Ralph, realizes he isn't King Candy. He's Turbo. He was the star of the most popular game in the arcade, but when a new game stole his spotlight, he got jealous, abandoned his own game to take over the new one, and ended up crashing both, supposedly dying in the process. His name became a cautionary tale, a verb even. To go turbo means to game jump and mess with the code. Finding out that the goofy king of Sugar Rush is actually this infamous, game-destroying virus is an all-time great twist. What makes him so beloved is how he evolves as a threat. First, he's a political manipulator, turning an entire kingdom against an innocent little girl. Then, as Turbo, he's a physically violent threat, a desperate racer willing to kill to keep his stolen throne. And finally, after being eaten by a cybug, he becomes a monstrous, godlike virus, a horrifying fusion of his own code and the bugs, threatening to take over the entire arcade. He's creepy, he's creative, and the twist reveal is so flawlessly executed that he has more than earned his spot in the Villain Hall of Fame. We now turn to a villain whose twist, while shocking, arguably strips him of all his character. Yes, it's time to talk about the man who broke Anna's heart and the hearts of audiences everywhere. Prince Hans of the Southern Isles from Frozen. For the first two-thirds of this movie, Hans is perfect. Almost too perfect. He's the dashing prince from a neighboring kingdom who literally bumps into the lonely, awkward Princess Anna. He doesn't laugh at her clumsiness. He's charmed by it. He listens to her. He understands her feeling of being overshadowed. He has 12 older brothers after all, and they connect instantly. Their duet, Love is an Open Door, is a whirlwind romance condensed into 3 minutes, and it's so catchy and sweet that you can't help but root for them. He seems like the answer to all of Anna's dreams, a man who will finally see her and never shut her out. When he stays behind to run Arendelle while Anna goes after Elsa, he seems noble and capable, handing out cloaks and soup to the freezing citizens. He's the ideal hero, and that's what makes the twist so unbelievably brutal. Anna, her heart accidentally frozen by Elsa, stumbles back to Arendelle, believing that an act of true love, a kiss from Hans, is the only thing that can save her. She confesses her love. She pleads for him to kiss her, and he just leans back and says, "Oh, Anna, if only there was someone out there who loved you." Gut punch. He reveals his whole plan. He was just pretending to love her so he could marry her, arrange a little accident for Elsa, and become king of Arendelle. He blows out the candle, locks the door, and leaves her to die. It's one of the most shocking and cruel villain reveals in Disney history. So why is he on the hated list? It's because after that incredible reveal, he ceases to be a character and becomes a plot device. He goes from being Prince Charming to generic evil guy with the flip of a switch. His motivation, being ignored by his 12 older brothers, is mentioned once and then forgotten. It's a flimsy excuse for a scheme that involves manipulation, attempted murder, and usurpation. He exists solely to teach Anna and the audience a lesson about falling in love too fast. And while it's an important lesson, it comes at the cost of what could have been a truly complex and fascinating antagonist. Instead, we just got a handsome jerk. Let's get back to a villain whose complexity is the reason we love him so much. A villain who is both heartbreakingly tragic and monstrously evil. Lotsa Huggin' Bear from Toy Story 3. When Andy's toys first arrive at Sunnyside, it seems like a paradise, and its leader, Lotso, is the most welcoming host you could imagine. He's a big, plush, pink teddy bear with a friendly southern accent who smells like strawberries. He promises the toys a future where they'll never be abandoned or outgrown, where there will always be children to play with them. He seems to understand their deepest fears and offers them the perfect solution. He even gives Buzz Lightyear a big hug. His name is Lotsa Huggin' Bear for crying out loud. He's gotta be a good guy, right? Wrong. So wrong. Underneath that strawberry-scented fluff is the cold, hard heart of a tyrannical prison warden. Sunnyside isn't a paradise, it's a toy prison, and Lotso is its ruthless dictator. He assigns our beloved characters to the Caterpillar Room, where they are abused and broken by toddlers, while he and his inner circle live in luxury luxury in the butterfly room. When Buzz tries to reason with him, Lotso has Buzz forcibly reset to his factory demo mode, turning him into a brainwashed enforcer. The twist reveal of his true nature is chilling, but what makes Lotso an S-tier villain is his backstory. We learn from a broken-hearted clown named Chuckles that Lotso wasn't always this way. He was once the favorite toy of a little girl named Daisy, but one day they were accidentally left behind. Lotso, determined and loyal, led them on a long journey back to Daisy's house, only to look through the window and see that he had been replaced with another Lotsa-hugging bear. He forced his friends to leave with him, convincing them that they were all just trash waiting to be thrown away. This motivation is what makes him so compelling and so terrifying. He genuinely believes that love between a toy and a child is a lie, and he's made it his life's mission to force every other toy to feel the same pain and hopelessness that he does. And that makes his actions all the more heinous. The climax at the garbage dump where the toys save him, and he has the chance to return the favor by pressing the emergency stop button for the incinerator, but instead gives them a sneering grin and walks away, leaving them to die. It is one of the single most evil, most unforgettable moments in Pixar history. He is a tragic, complex, and utterly despicable villain, and we love him for it. Now we move from one tragic villain to another, but this one landed very differently with audiences. Yokai, aka Professor Robert Callahan from Big Hero 6. Professor Callahan is introduced as the quintessential cool teacher. He's a brilliant roboticist, a pioneer in his field, and the head of the prestigious San Francisco Institute of Technology. He's the mentor of our hero, Hero's older brother, Tadashi. When Hero meets him, Callahan is encouraging and wise, gently nudging the young genius away from illegal bot fighting and towards using his incredible mind for something greater. He's the reason Hero creates the microbots and decides to join the university. But then tragedy strikes. A fire breaks out at the science fair, and Callahan is seemingly trapped inside. Tadashi, being the hero he is, rushes in to save him, and both of them are killed in the resulting explosion. The twist, as you know, is that Callahan didn't die. He used Hero's microbots to shield himself from the fire, faked his death, and stole the technology. He is Yokai, the mysterious masked villain Hero, and his friends have been hunting. This is a pretty solid twist. The man whose death inspired the hero's journey was the villain all along. That's good stuff. So why is he on the hated list? I think it boils down to the fact that his motivation, while understandable, makes him a less interesting villain. We find out he's doing all of this to get revenge on Alistair Cry, whom he blames for the loss of his daughter in a teleportation experiment gone wrong. This makes him a deeply sympathetic character, but it also transforms him from the silent, menacing, and mysterious yokai into just a sad dad. While his line to Hero, Tadashi's death was his own mistake, is absolutely ice cold and a genuinely great villain moment, much of his character post-reveal is spent being tragic. He's not a bad character, but as a twist villain, he felt like he had more potential than the story ultimately gave him. Okay, let's talk about a villain who is the polar opposite of tragic. A villain with no sad backstory, no sympathetic motivation, just pure, cold, hard greed. Commander Rourke from Atlantis, The Lost Empire. For the first half of this criminally underappreciated film, Commander Rourke is the guy you want in charge. He's the commanding officer of the expedition to find Atlantis, and he's the picture of competence. He's tough, he's pragmatic, he makes the hard decisions, and he seems to have the respect of his highly skilled, if eccentric, crew. He's a military man, through and through, leading his team through giant robotic leviathans and swarms of fireflies. He seems tough but fair, exactly the kind of leader you'd follow into the unknown. The twist isn't a single gotcha moment, but a gradual, dawning horror. Once the crew finds Atlantis and discovers it's a living, breathing civilization, Rourke's true motives start to bleed through. He was never here for discovery. He was never here to honor Thaddeus Thatcher's legacy. He and his crew of mercenaries are here for one thing: the heart of Atlantis, the giant crystal that gives the city its power, which he plans to steal and sell to the highest bidder on the black market. The moment he truly reveals himself is when he punches the frail, ancient king of Atlantis. When Milo pleads with him, telling him that stealing the crystal will kill all the Atlanteans, Rourke's response is, "You know, for a guy who's supposed to be a genius, you're pretty slow on the uptake. I'm a businessman." He doesn't care about the lives he destroys. They're just an ancient civilization nobody knows about. Acceptable losses. He is a ruthless, unapologetic capitalist and colonialist, seeing an entire culture as nothing more than a resource to be plundered for profit. His descent during the climax, from a calm commander to a wild-eyed, axe-swinging maniac after his plan starts to fall apart, is amazing to watch. And his death, being cut by a shard of the crystal he so desperately wanted, and slowly, painfully transforming into a crystal monster himself before being shattered shattered by the propellers of a Zeppelin. It's a gruesome, visually stunning, and perfectly fitting end for a man who saw everything as an object to be owned. He's a top-tier villain who deserves way more recognition. From a villain whose simple greed was terrifyingly effective, we now move to a villain whose complex motivation was just kind of confusing and lame. It's the real mastermind of Incredibles 2, Evelyn Diva. Evelyn is introduced as the brains behind her brother Winston's telecommunications empire. While Winston is the charismatic, hero-loving showman, Evelyn is the cool, brilliant, and slightly cynical tech genius who makes it all happen. She's laid back, witty, and seems to be a genuine supporter of the plan to bring supers back, even if she's more pragmatic about it than her starstruck brother. She designs Elastigirl's new suit and bike, and she and Helen bond over being powerful, intelligent women. She seems like a great modern ally. The twist is that she is the Screenslaver, the mysterious new villain who hypnotizes people through screens and spouts a philosophy about society becoming too passive and dependent on superheroes and simulations. Her real goal is to make supers illegal forever. And why? Because when she was a little girl, burglars broke into her house, and her father, instead of running to the safe room, tried to call a couple of supers for help. Since supers had just been outlawed, they never answered, and her father was killed. Let's just pause and think about that motivation for a second. Her father died because he foolishly relied on supers instead of saving himself. So her grand plan is to ruin the lives of all supers and permanently sabotage their return to prove a point about self-reliance. It feels like a massive logical leap. Her personal grudge is projected onto the entire world in a way that just doesn't feel earned. What's worse is that the Screenslaver's initial message was actually really interesting. The idea that we are becoming too weak, too reliant on mediated experiences, and that we crave superheroes to save us so we don't have to face challenges ourselves. That's a genuinely thought-provoking theme for a superhero movie, but the reveal that it was all just a cover for Evelyn's daddy issues completely cheapens it. On top of all that, the twist was incredibly predictable. Many viewers guessed that the new cynical tech character was the villain from the moment she was introduced. For a sequel to a movie with a villain as iconic as Syndrome, Evelyn and her flimsy motivation were a major disappointment. Alright, time for a villain who is beloved for entirely different reasons. He's not terrifying, he's not a mastermind, and for most of the movie, he's a complete joke. Michael Goob Yagubian, aka the bowler hat guy from Meet the Robinsons. For most of the film, the bowler hat guy is our antagonist, and he is hilariously bad at it. He's a lanky, mustache-twirling caricature of a villain who slinks around in a black cape and a bowler hat that is secretly a robotic spider minion named Doris. His evil plans include things like egging a building and trying to pass off our hero Lewis's invention as his own. He's more pathetic than menacing, constantly failing in his quest for revenge against the successful inventor Cornelius Robinson, who is future Lewis. The first twist is that he isn't the real villain at all. The diabolical Doris, the bowler hat, is the true mastermind, manipulating him for her own ends. But the big twist, the one that makes him so special, is the reveal of his identity. He's not some arch nemesis with a deep-seated grudge. He's Michael Goob Yagubian, Lewis's roommate from the orphanage. The reason for his lifelong vendetta. Lewis, working late on an invention, kept him up all night, causing him to fall asleep during his Little League game and miss the winning catch. That's it. That's his entire villain origin story. His team got mad at him, he got sad, and he just never got over it. His motivation is the pettiest, most childish, and most hilariously relatable reason for villainy ever. He is what Lewis could have become if he had let his failure to find his birth mother define him. And the best part? He gets a redemption arc. When he finally sees the horrible future that his partnership with Doris would create, he feels genuine remorse. He just kind of shuffles off in shame. But then Lewis, understanding his pain, goes back in time and does one simple thing. He makes sure to wake Goob up before the final play. Goob catches the ball, wins the game, and his entire dark future is erased. We see him get adopted, happy, and no longer the bowler hat guy. It's a unique, funny, and surprisingly heartwarming take on a villain, and it's absolutely brilliant. Okay, we've had our fun. Now we have to talk about Cars 2 and its villain, Sir Miles Axelrod. He is introduced as a progressive visionary. He's a former oil tycoon who, after getting lost in the jungle and supposedly discovering a miracle biofuel, sold his company and converted himself into an electric car. He's now a champion for alternative energy. To promote his new clean fuel, Alinol, he creates the first ever World Grand Prix, a massive international racing competition. He seems like a good guy, a billionaire trying to save the planet, a sort sort of automotive Elon Musk, if you will. The twist is that he's secretly the leader of a vast criminal conspiracy of lemons, cars that are famously unreliable and broken down, like Gremlins, Pacers, and Yugos. His grand plan? Alinol isn't a clean fuel at all. It's designed to explode when hit with a concentrated electromagnetic pulse from a weapon disguised as a TV camera. By blowing up the engines of racers on international television, he plans to discredit alternative energy entirely, causing the world to lose faith in it and go back to relying on good old-fashioned gasoline. Why? Because he secretly owns the largest untapped oil reserve on the planet. Why is this so hated? Where do I even begin? The plan is just so bafflingly convoluted and stupid. An international cabal of lemon cars using a secret death ray to make a fake biofuel explode to manipulate the global energy market. It sounds less like a Pixar movie and more like a rejected Austin Powers script. His motivation is just boring old greed, which can work, but here it's buried under nonsense. The reveal itself is also incredibly lame. It all hinges on Marta, who is inexplicably now a secret agent, realizing that a photo of the villain's engine shows bolts that are the same as the ones on the bomb strapped to him, and also remembering that Axelrod leaked oil back in Tokyo, proving he isn't an electric car. He corners Axelrod, who is forced to deactivate the bomb with his voice, thus proving he's the bad guy. It's an unsatisfying conclusion to a messy, nonsensical plot. Axelrod's just a greedy car with a dumb plan, and for that, he's earned his spot as one of the most hated twist villains around. Let's cleanse the palate with another villain from the Toy Story franchise, a character who, like Lotso, is driven by the unique anxieties and tragedies that can only befall a toy. Stinky Pete from Toy Story 2. When Woody is stolen by the greedy toy collector Al, he's introduced to the rest of the Woody's Roundup gang, the energetic cowgirl Jessie, the faithful steed Bullseye, and the prospector. Pete is still mint in box, a collector's dream. He acts as the wise, grandfatherly elder of the group. He's calm, well-spoken, and seems to be the voice of reason. When Woody and Jessie fight, he breaks it up. He comforts Jessie and convinces Woody to listen to her sad story of being abandoned by her owner, Emily. He seems to be a mentor figure, guiding Woody towards what he presents as the only logical choice, going to a museum in Japan where they will be preserved and admired forever, safe from the heartbreak of being outgrown and abandoned by a child. But of course, there's a dark side to this old prospector. The twist is revealed when Woody, after being rescued by Buzz and the gang, decides to go back to Andy and invites the Roundup gang to come with him. Pete can't have that. In a shocking move, he climbs out of his box for the first time, uses his pickaxe to screw the air vent shut, and reveals that he was the one who sabotaged Woody's earlier escape attempt. Like the best Toy Story villains, Stinky Pete's evil is born from a place of real, toy-specific pain. He tells Woody he spent a lifetime on a dime store shelf watching every other toy get sold. He was never played with. He's bitter and resentful, especially towards space toys like Buzz Lightyear, whose popularity after the Sputnik launch led to the cancellation of the Woody's Roundup show and left toys like him to gather dust. He's so terrified of being unloved that he's willing to imprison Woody and even tear him to shreds to get to the safety of a museum display case. It's a desperate, selfish, and tragic goal. Instead of the museum, Andy's toys shove him into a little girl's backpack, a little girl named Amy, who, as we see from her defaced Barbie doll, loves to draw on her toys. He's finally getting played with, the one thing he never experienced, but in the one way he would have feared the most. It's a perfect ending for a brilliantly conceived and tragically flawed villain. This next one is tricky. It's a character who is technically a twist villain, but whose twist completely redefines what villain even means in their movie. Takar from Moana. For the entire film, Takar is the big bad, the final boss. She is a colossal, terrifying demon of earth and fire. Her existence is the source of the blight that is slowly killing the world. She guards the island of Te Fiti, attacking anyone who dares to approach with volcanic fury. She's not really a character in the traditional sense. She's a raging monster of pure destruction. The goal of the movie is clear. Moana must get past this apocalyptic creature and restore the heart of Te Fiti to save everyone. The epic climax sees Moana and a newly empowered Maui battling Tekar. Maui's hook is destroyed. All seems lost, but Moana bravely sails past the monster and reaches the island of Te Fiti, only to find nothing. The goddess isn't there. And then Moana looks back at the raging lava demon, sees the spiral on its chest where the heart should be, and understands. She holds up the heart and tells the monster, "Let her come to me." The twist isn't that Tekar has a secret identity. It's that Tekar is Te Fiti. The goddess of life was corrupted into a demon of death after Maui stole her heart. So, why would this be on a hated list? It's certainly not because it's a bad story beat. It's a wonderful, powerful message. The idea that the conflict isn't about defeating an enemy, but about healing a deep wound is deep. However, as as a twist villain, it lacks the agency and character that make the others on this list so compelling. Takar has no motivation beyond mindless rage. She has no personality. She's an obstacle. For viewers who were expecting a more traditional showdown with a cunning antagonist, this revelation might have felt anticlimactic. There's no evil plan to foil, no villain to outsmart. Let's end on an absolute high note with a villain who is complex, intimidating, and whose betrayal cuts deep. Mr. Henry J. Waternoose III. When we meet Mr. Waternoose, he feels like part of the family. He's the third-generation CEO of the company, and he inherited it from his father. He's been a mentor and a father figure to our hero Sully for his entire career. His only concern is the well-being of his company, which is facing a massive energy crisis because children are harder to scare these days. He's under immense pressure, and you feel for him. He seems like a good monster in a tough spot. The twist is that he's willing to do monstrous things to get out of it. When Sully and Mike discover Randall's secret plot to kidnap children and use a scream extractor machine on them, they try to go to Waternoose for help, and for a moment, it seems like he's on their side. He banishes Randall and takes the child, Boo, promising to make it all go away. But then he shoves Mike and Sully through a door to the Himalayas, banishing them forever. He was in on it all along. This betrayal is so effective because his motivation is so horribly plausible. He has convinced himself that the horrifying means, kidnapping and torturing children, are justified by the ends, saving his company and keeping Monstropolis powered. In his final confrontation with Sully, he delivers one of the all-time great villain lines: "I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die." He genuinely believes he is doing what is necessary for the greater good. This kind of desperate villainy makes him one of the most well-written and beloved twist villains ever created.